All right, good evening, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com. I have forced my way off the Brooklyn Nets, and I am now here at the Wells Fargo Center, Wells Fargo Arena, I don't know, Wells Fargo something. Site of Purdue's Friday night Sweet 16 matchup with St. Peter's. This is your goldenblack.com pointless rap video following a day of nothing. This was press conference day, media obligation day. I told you I would do one of these between every day I'm on site at the NCAA Tournament, and I am nothing if not a keeper of my word. So I am doing a rap video following a day of no games. So, as you know, Purdue plays St. Peter's tomorrow night with a trip to the Elite Eight on the line. Purdue is obviously not wanting to be on the business end of a Cinderella story here. It's one of those rare instances, I think, this season where Purdue has played in a game where it's not really been the story. You know, Purdue has been a top 10, often top 5 team all season. They were number 1 for a little while. Typically, when Purdue comes to town, Purdue's the story. And I'm not necessarily saying Purdue's not the story right now, but they are definitely sharing the limelight with, the feel-good story of the NCAA tournament thus far, with a lot of their regional media here to cover them. And I will tell you one thing about New Jersey, because I know it very well. We are a very provincial people. When we have a story like a St. Peter's to rally around, we rally around it. We believe that team can do no wrong. No matter what happens to St. Peter's tomorrow, it will be the referee's fault, whatever. But New Jersey, we are a very provincial people, and I can guarantee you that the entire state of New Jersey is behind the St. Peter's Peacocks right now. 2 questions we're going to find out the answers to tomorrow night. 1, will Purdue play in the Elite Eight? Are they up to this in terms of all that St. Peter's has got going on right now? And 2, to what lengths is CBS going to have to go to not say the word peacock on the air? That being, of course, the competing streaming service that they have to worry about. That is going to be a very interesting dynamic for the broadcast rights holder for this NCAA tournament. Anyway, back to basketball. Enough stupid little comments. Enough fooling around here. St. Peter's has got something rolling here. Obviously, they beat Kentucky, and what I will say is that in college basketball, if it can happen to Kentucky, it can happen to anyone, because they are the bluest of the blue bloods. They have the best players every year, the most talented players at least. There is nothing they want for. They are the epitome of college basketball royalty. So if it can happen to them, it can happen to anyone. I know every team's different and all that stuff, but generally speaking, if it can happen to Kentucky, it can happen to anyone. That being said, I don't anticipate Purdue having, significant problems tomorrow. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to roll over St. Peter's, but I'm saying this is a Purdue team that I think is pretty insulated against this sort of, trapping. I think, the thing about Cinderella stories is, no pun intended, they do often peter out during the week between one weekend and the next for a couple of reasons. 1, reality sets in. 2, you have your opponent's attention. 3, all your stuff's out there. Everything you ran to get whoever shots or stuff like that, it's all out there, and your next opponent now has a week to watch it and really, really prepare for it. Am I on 3, 4, 5? I've lost count. Anyway, another dynamic is that all of these kids go home to their campus where they are suddenly deities. They get patted on the back. They get interview requests. And nowadays, they get NIL deals. It's a warped reality they go back to. And sometimes reality sets back in once they have to go from one state of being to another state of being and then back to the first state of being. I think the fact that obviously Shaheen Holloway is, I think we can all assume, about to be Seton Hall's next coach. Some distractions for him. I think he's an excellent coach. From everything I understand, from everything I've seen, from everything I've heard, he is an excellent coach. He's doing a wonderful job, but excellent coaches who do wonderful jobs do not stay at St. Peter's for long. And it's sitting right there. It's too obvious to not happen. That being said, sometimes when things are too obvious, they don't happen. But I think clearly, Shaheen Holloway's had some things in the oven here this week that I'm not necessarily saying has distracted him, I don't know them. I don't know anything about them, but a lot's been going on for St. Peter's this week. That is my general point here. St. Peter's momentum is very real. It's a great story that they will have fans here. People who think this place is going to be full of St. Peter's fans have to understand that they have 33,000 living alumni. If every one of them showed up, yeah, maybe. But I don't anticipate, St. Peter's taking over the tri-state area here and filling the Wells Fargo Arena or Center or whatever this is called. The thing about St. Peter's momentum is it's not going to make Zach-Edey any smaller. It's not going to make Jaden Ivey any slower. And it's not going to make Purdue a lesser basketball team than it's been. So that brings us back to all of our original points about Purdue that we can – sorry, there's a production crew extravaganza going on here. St. Peter's momentum does not make Zach-Edey any smaller, nor does it make Travion Williams any smaller. It does not make Jaden Ivey any slower, and it does not make Purdue any less of a basketball team than they've been all season long. That is the reality that now settles in against St. Peter's. The matchups take hold, and the matchups are considerable. And it brings us back to all of the points that I could apply to every game Purdue played this season, and especially those late in the season. Purdue takes care of the basketball. Purdue keeps guarding the way Purdue's been guarding. Purdue's been much better defensively than people give it credit for. If all of that stuff continues on, Purdue's going to win this game. That's simply the reality of it. Something bizarre would have to happen, and that's not outside the realm of possibility considering Purdue's season. But something extraordinary would have to happen, I should say. Somebody's going to have to make like 10 threes, and Purdue would have to turn the ball over like a whole bunch. And I've already taken that off the table because I already qualified this as if Purdue takes care of the basketball. So I'm not even sure what something crazy that could beat Purdue if it takes care of the basketball and defends the way it's been defending. I don't even know what that crazy thing would be. So as I think is the case with every opponent Purdue has and can play in this NCAA tournament, the matchups matter. But only to a point. I think what matters most is Purdue, and Purdue taking care of the basketball is the thing. If then you do those things and you start shooting the ball better, then you become something capable of anything from here on out. Not just this weekend here in Philly, but next weekend in New Orleans, should you advance that far. I'm not saying they're going to advance that far. I'm saying that if they shoot the ball better than they did in Milwaukee, if Sasha Stefanovic gets going, I think this team's pretty much capable of anything. Tomorrow's obviously the start of it. I would not anticipate Purdue being vulnerable to any sort of letdown factor against an opponent that, doesn't have any sort of name cachet whatsoever and has a number 15 next to their name. I would not anticipate that being a problem, but you never know. Somehow when these Cinderella stories, I keep playing the Caddyshack scene in my mind where he's hitting the golf ball, Cinderella boy. Anyway, sorry. Now I've got Caddyshack playing in my head and my night's over. Anyway, I would not anticipate Purdue being vulnerable to this sort of situation, but these Cinderella stories over the years, somebody probably didn't think they were vulnerable and they got. So you just never know. But my personal inclination here goes along with general conventional wisdom about this game is that, Purdue will be a heavy favorite, and they'll be a heavy favorite for a reason. So that's what I got from here today. I didn't even go to the press conferences. So if I sit here and tell you that I'm telling you about the press conferences today, I would be lying. The reason I didn't go to the press conferences is because I needed extra stuff outside the locker room. So I was standing outside Purdue's locker room, which is not open, but I can stand outside. And thank you to Purdue for accommodating some of the extra stuff I needed today. But I did not go to Matt Painter's press conference. I did not go to the players' press conference, but I did read the transcripts. I did watch the video, so I am up to speed. But anyway, I'm just completely rambling at this point. So that's what I've got from, I guess we'll just call it Thursday at the NCAA Tournament. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, however you process our materials. For goldenblack.com, I am Brian Neubert, and I will talk to you again tomorrow night from the Wells Fargo, whatever this is, after Purdue plays St. Peter's in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Tournament. Have a good one.